I just got back from the gym, so I am in gym clothes. Okay, guys, but I had to come on here because Holy Spirit told me to talk about this topic right now. There was a wonderful subscriber that I truly adore, Karen, who requested that I talk about how to identify a narcissist. And I thought, man, that is an excellent topic because narcissists can be detrimental to a person who is battling mental health. It can either make or break a person who is suffering through depression or has some type of mental health struggle. And we have seen this happen with two of our stories that we talked about recently of self conclusions. Nina, and there was another young lady that was dealing with a narcissist. And I'll tell you why I feel. Okay, first and foremost, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, okay? I do have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I'm not a doctor, okay? So I don't have the actual credentials to talk about this topic, but I can tell you I have plenty of personal experience dealing with narcissists. In fact, I dated a narcissist that was actually medically diagnosed as a narcissist. He actually went through evaluation and was diagnosed. So I, through dating him and me having my psychology background, I was able to kind of observe him and pull out a lot of the indicators that I seen and studied, because I actually, after I dated so many narcissists, guys, and I have like people in my life and friends in my life, or not friends in my life, sorry, family members and different people that I know who have the indicators of narcissism. I had to study. I learned that I had to study about narcissism. So I started studying about it. I started researching it. And me being a lawyer, I research everything. I love research. That's why I'm an attorney. I have to study everything until I master it, basically. So I literally read books. I've watched so many different doctors and psychiatrists and people talk about narcissism over the years. I say I've been studying narcissism since 2017 because I really have been researching and researching and researching, because I wanted to be able to pinpoint the indicators and know them so well that I wouldn't fall prey again to a narcissist, because a narcissist can truly consume and control your mind to a point where you start to feel like this person is a drug to you and you cannot literally function without this person. And once they captivate your mind and consume you to a point, then you will be entrapped by this person, and it will be very difficult. It will take a long struggle. I mean, it could take months to years to be able to break that mental spell off of you. That's why it is imperative that you know the indicators of who a narcissist is, what the particular signs are, so that you can get out of the situation quick enough. Because if you don't get out quick enough, you will become so consumed by that person that it can mentally dismantle you. And that's why it's important that the word of God says to guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Well, God says that because there are people like narcissists who will consume you. So let's go into some of the beginnings of what a narcissist is. This could be a whole entire series. I could probably just do a little bit tonight and maybe just break it into different series, depending on the interests and people's interest in it. But there are two types of narcissists that I have been able to identify and actually have come across and actually dated, guys, or been around. Okay. The first one is the overt narcissist. The overt narcissist is easier to identify than the covert. The covert one is the most difficult one. So you have to be very keen and very, very observant to be able to identify those. Because if you don't, you will be entrapped and not realize it, and then they'll destroy you guys. They will destroy you. I'm telling you. If you're not mentally strong, and if you don't have the ability to really pull yourself out of it, you will feel so engraved in that relationship or that situation, and it will mentally destroy you. I am telling you, that's how dangerous narcissists are. They're very dangerous. Okay, so the overt narcissist. The overt narcissist is very, very, very obvious. It's just, you could see his behavior. Some of the things you'll notice first, for example, if you're dating a narcissist, let's talk about dating, because that's one of the things we've been coming across with our mental health stories and our self-conclusions, is a lot of the times these were people that they were romantically involved with. So for the overt narcissist, the first indicator that you will notice is they will love bomb you. They will put you on a pedestal, and they will give you so many compliments. It will become so overwhelming for you. It'll be something you've never experienced before. This person will literally worship and kiss the ground you walk upon. He or she will give you extreme amounts that will flood you with all kinds of compliments. I mean, from how you look to your accomplishments. It'll be like you'll even be caught off guard by it because you're not used to that. You're like, wow, man, I'm just this person's really kind of overwhelming with all these compliments. But thank you. And see, the thing is, they're praising you so much, you start to become addicted to it. Like, wow, this is pretty cool. Somebody really filled all these things for me. So that's the first thing they'll do. They'll give you shower you with all kinds of compliments, right off the bat. Some will just start giving you all these different gifts. You'll get all kind of gifts. They'll take you out all the time. They'll be all consuming. They'll want to have all of your time. They want to spend time with you so much that you have literally no more free time. You find that you're always spending time with this person. And the other thing that they will do is they will speed up the relationship. Like within a matter of days or weeks, they're already saying they love you, or they want to get in a relationship, or they want to get physically involved. Everything's so fast paced. It feels like fast food because everything's like so fast. If they're trying to speed it up, or they're talking about love so quickly, or trying to get you locked down in a relationship in a matter of weeks. I mean, some of them even get to the point they're trying to propose. Like it's really fast paced, and you're just like overwhelmed. You're like, oh my God, that is the Holy Spirit. When you start feeling it in your gut, you're going to feel something when it first happens. You're going to be like, oh my God, this is a little too much. Whoa. Yeah. You're like, whoa, this is a lot. And if you're not familiar with it, and if you're not listening to the Holy Spirit, my spiritually led people, you will think that, oh my God, I met my soulmate. Okay. Another thing that they will do, they will ask you all kinds of questions. Okay. This is their period where they are trying to figure out every little thing about you. They want to know everything about you. You know why? Because they're going to use that to start controlling you mentally. Okay. The first thing they do, they're going to study you, find out, okay, is he or she the person I want to lock down, basically, right? The person that they're looking to lock down is somebody who's codependent, someone who is kind of very sweet. If you have high accolades, or you're beautiful, there's something very highly esteemed about you, because they want to be able to dismantle and break down someone that they feel is a little bit above them. But you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but if you have something that they like about you, like maybe your looks or your job or whatever, then that'll be something that they're interested in, right? Then they're going to find out, what are you looking for, right? They're going to be very keen and ask you all kind of questions, meaning, what are you looking for in a relationship? We'll talk about relationships right now. But narcissists can be your mother, your father, your parents. But we're just talking about relationships. This is the topic for tonight. We can talk about mothers, fathers, and everything like that later on. But we'll just talk about relationships, because that is a big thing I've been seeing with self-conclusions, guys, is these relationships. So they will learn about you. They'll ask you all kind of questions. They'll be so interested in you. You'll feel like so important because they're asking you all these questions. You're like, oh my God, like he or she's asking me all these questions. He thinks I'm beautiful. Like, like, this is what I've always wanted. And this person, but it's not real. It's all fake, guys. It's all fake. Okay. So they'll be like, fine. You'll be telling them, oh yeah, I'm looking for a guy that does this, or a girl that does this, or a man that blah, blah, blah. And then they will become that person. They will literally mirror you. They will become everything that you want, and they will mirror you. So if you're like, oh, I love to go to beaches and I love bodies of water. Well, then they'll be like, oh my God, that's the same thing about me. I love to go to beaches and I love bodies of water. They'll do that. They'll start saying everything you like. Or you'll be like, I love to go hiking. They'll be like, oh, me too. We're so alike. We're so meant to be. Because what they want to do is they want to appear as though they're your soulmate. Okay? They want to appear as though they are your soulmate. Okay? That's what they want to do. And once you start to believe it. If you don't know the indicators, you will start to believe it. Okay? You'll be like, oh, well, this is true. This is my soulmate. This is the person of my dreams. La, 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 la. Okay. Now, once you do that, then he knows he has you, or he or she knows that they have you. Once you start getting to that point where you start thinking this is your soulmate, you start letting your guard down, you start going with the flow, and then you start getting addicted to the love bombing. You get addicted to the compliments. You get addicted to the praise. You get addicted to all the gifts they're giving you. They're taking you out. It's like overwhelming and all consuming. And once they get you locked in and they know that, and you're going to be addicted to it, you don't realize it. Psychologically, you don't know it, but you are. You become addicted. So once they get you in your relationship, you let your guard down, you're into them. That's when they change on you. They take the mask off and they have this very aggressive anger. The overt one is very aggressive, easily angered. If you do anything to, it's like you start noticing things about him, you start noticing some red flags. So you may call him out on it. You might be like, I noticed like, you know, you haven't been spending time with me lately and da da da, right? You might say that, right? Just to say that's an example. Then you'll notice he'll flip on you, or he or she will start flipping on you. They'll get really angry. They're like, why are you always complaining? See, that's why we can't be together, because you're always complaining and you're all this. So before, they were praising you, right? They were giving you all this praise and love bombing and all this beautiful, grandiose worshiping. And now they're going to start tearing you down. They're going to be very angry. If you call them out on stuff, they will start yelling at you, accusing you of being the worst person in the world and all these bad things. And you'll be so confused because you'll be like, but I thought, you loved me and you worshiped me and all these things. And you'll be doing, and the thing is, because you're so addicted to the love bombing and you're not getting that anymore. You're getting all this like yelling and aggressiveness and always accusing you of being this bad person and all these things. Now you're going to try to do everything in your power to get that love bombing back. So you're gonna like, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? I'm so sorry. I won't question it anymore. Or like, say you notice some weird number in the person's phone, and so you ask them about it. You're like, well, who is Kelly? Because I haven't heard about Kelly. You've been messaging her a lot. Then they'll start yelling and getting angry, saying, this is the part where it's called gaslighting. Narcissists do a lot of gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is basically word scramble. They just do this word scramble in your mind and they make you think that you're crazy. The things that you're observing, they make you think that you're not observing that. You know what I mean? Like, say, for example, you saw this unusual phone number in the person's phone and you think he's cheating, he or she is cheating. And so you ask him about it. Hey, I noticed the girl Kelly's phone number in your phone. Who is that? Okay. Then they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, see, there you go. You always accusing me of stuff. This insecurity, this is the problem why I cannot be with you. Probably why you can't get a man or you can't keep a woman or in your life, because you're always accusing people. And you know that you saw the number and you have a legitimate reason, but then you start questioning your observation. And you're like, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have accused you. I'm so sorry. And you start doubting yourself. That's gaslighting. Or, for example, let's say they said something about something before. Okay, let's say, all right, let's say the guy said, oh, honey, I'm going to go out to my mother's house to help her go grocery shopping. I should be back by 9 tonight, okay? So later on, he doesn't come back until 1 o'clock in the morning, all right? And so you're mad. You're like, where have you been? You said you were going to be back at 9. You said you were with your mother. And he'll be like, I never said that. I never said I was going with my mom, and I never said I was going to come back at 9. See, you always hearing things. I don't know where you're getting this from, but you're crazy. Like, this is the problem I'm having with you. Always making up all these lies about me. I never said I was going to go to my mother's house. What happened was I ended up seeing my friend on the road, and I told you I was supposed to help my friend fix his car because his car was out on the freeway. So I don't know what you're talking about, this whole mother thing. You're crazy. See, that's the problem with you. You're always lying about me. See, that's the thing. That's gaslighting. Then you start questioning yourself. You're like, oh man, maybe I'm not hearing things right. Like, maybe there's something wrong with me. So you start getting insecure about yourself. And then you're going to try to overwork You're going to overwork to try to get the love bombing back. You want the person back that you had at the beginning, the one that was showering you with all these praises and worships and giving you all this glory. You want that back. So then you're going to try to do everything you can to follow all the little rules that he has for you, or she, so that you can get the love bombing back. And if you get into a trap like that and you don't know what you're in, that can lead down to ultimate depression, mentally tearing you down to a point where you could start feeling a lot of mental health down breaks, even some people leading down if they're not mentally stable and they're already battling mental health issues. You've seen someone like Nina lead down a path of self-conclusion. That's why you have to know and identify narcissists, because they will mentally entrap you. They will, and they will make you feel so low. You will not even be able to function. I remember when I dated a narcissist, he was medically diagnosed as a narcissist. I don't know why. See, this is the problem. I love researching, y'all. You already know I'm an attorney and I'm a psychologist. So when he told me he was medically diagnosed as a narcissist, what did I do? I kept dating him. You know why? Because I was like, I want to know the indicators. I was like, I know I shouldn't be dating him, but I want to study this guy. I want to study him and want to figure out the indicators so I can use that in future situations. So I stayed with him for a while just to get the indicators, which was a bad thing. Let me tell you why. Okay, another thing about narcissists. So after they are abusive to you, they start gaslighting you. They go through this stage where they're now starting to find, because you were a supply to them. You were a supply because you were doing something to feed their ego. Either it was your prestige, something very prestigious about you, maybe how you look, maybe your career, whatever it was that they were drawn to you, or maybe your praises, you maybe built up their ego. There was something that you had that they needed, okay? But once they get you emotionally drawn to them, you become boring. Because narcissists like new supply. They like things that are new, okay? This is a typical overt. We're talking about typical classic overt narcissists. They want things that are new and fresh. And once you become like emotionally involved with them and consumed by them, then you become boring. And they're like, okay, I really don't want this person anymore. So then that's when they start dismantling you, tearing you down. And then there's called a discard phase, the discard phase. During the discard phase, they go out. They're not spending time with you anymore. At the beginning, they were consuming you. They wanted your every minute, okay? You could not breathe without this guy. You could not even wake up without him being there. You couldn't go out with your friends. You couldn't go to the gym. This person wanted every second of your day. You'll start noticing it when they start getting into the kind of dismantling phase where they're tearing you down, they're gaslighting you. It's just, it went from you being beautiful and lovely and wonderful, this great person in the whole world, to now being just awful and just insecure and ugly and all these things, right? Fat, everything. They'll be verbally abusive. Like the boyfriend was to Nina. Remember how he was to Nina? If you guys go back to the Nina self-conclusion, you got to watch that, because there were a lot of indicators of narcissism in there. And he was really tearing her down. He was telling friends that he didn't even like her. The only reason why he was with her was because she doesn't make a lot of money, so she's a tax write-off for him. And that she wasn't pretty enough and she didn't have the right body figure, all these things, right? That's what narcissists do. He was in the discard phase. He was getting bored with her because she became emotionally in love with him. And I think the supply with her, with Nina, is that she was initially attractive. She has a very television show presence. So she has that sense of fame. Okay. So those were certain characteristics that drew him in initially. He was like, okay, this is a good supply for me. She's got the fame. She has the looks, and, the tax write-off. These are all supply for him. So he started love bombing her. That's why she was so addicted to him. He love bombed the heck out of her, was praising her, just all these wonderful things. So she thought in her head that he loved her when he really didn't. She was just supply. Then it got to a point where she started falling in love with him. This was the phase when the friends kept saying that it appeared as though she loved him more than he loved her. Well, the reason why they were saying that is because she began to love him. He never loved her, period. Narcissists don't have feelings. That's one thing you have to know. Narcissists can't love. If they tell you they love you, it's not real. It's like a hollow shell. There's no emotion. You'll be able to see it too. Oh my gosh, guys, it's crazy. Because I dated a guy like that too. I dated a guy like that. And he was telling me all these feelings. And this was a point where I already had studied narcissism, so I was able to know what a narcissist was. But I remember him saying, I love you. And I looked straight through his soul. I looked through his eyes, through his passes, into his soul, and there was nothing there, guys. It was a hollow shell. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a narcissist. I'm out of here. I only dated him within a matter of weeks. I got out because I already knew the signs. That's why you got to study the heck out of narcissism, because if you don't, it will consume you. It will destroy you. Narcissists can literally destroy you because you won't feel as though, once you become entrapped by them, you will feel as though you cannot function without having that person in your life. And once they start tearing you down, then you will start feeling so awful. You wouldn't even be able to function throughout the day. You just won't. I'm telling you because I've experienced it. And I know a lot of people that have experienced it. And I think it correlates with mental health. Because if you're battling mental health and you have a long history of mental health and you get locked in with a narcissist, it will completely dismantle you. If you don't know how to get out of it and the tools that we talk about regarding mental health, then it will completely dismantle you. That's why you have to know. So, where are we on, guys? We're on Nina. So remember Nina, she became so addicted to him and he didn't love her, period, but she did. And once she started loving him, he lost interest. He got bored. So then he went out and started dating the other girl. Remember the girl that she found the underwear in the house? You guys gotta watch that video about Nina Polchecki, and you'll know what I'm talking about because I'm referring to her because she's a good example that she was dealing with a narcissist, in my opinion. And I think from what I'm looking at from the indicators, she was dealing with an overt narcissist. He was very obviously about it because he was very aggressive. He had a huge anger issue, and he even got in a fight with a person at a charity event, a breast cancer charity event. That is one of the indicators of an overt narcissist. They get very angry and aggressive, and they can't control that anger. It's like an impulse. And if you injure their ego in any way, any form of rejection, they will become enraged. And I think that's what happened at the breast cancer event. The guy who rejected him and didn't want to buy his auction gift, the gift that he got from an auction, it injured his ego, and it was a narcissistic injury. That's a term in narcissism. It's called narcissistic injury. So if you start questioning a narcissist about some things that you're noticing about them, or call them out on things that they're doing, you're giving them a narcissistic injury. And an overt narcissist, when they get a narcissistic injury, or if you reject them, you can even reject a narcissist. That's a narcissistic injury as well. When you reject a narcissist, or if you say something negative about them, or you call them out on something, an overt narcissist will become enraged. They will get angry at you. Some can be violent. Some can slash your tires. They can murder you. Yes, narcissists can murder you. I'm just saying, I know I've been studying this thing since 2017, guys. I know the ins and outs of narcissists, I'm telling you. Narcissists can be stalkers. My gosh. I dated a guy in 2017. It's 2022. This guy's still stalking me. They feel like they own you. I was telling you this about the boyfriend of Nina. They basically feel like they own you. And once they get in a relationship with you, you can never get rid of them. So what they'll do is, let me talk about it. So remember I told you we're in the stage of the discard stage. We talked about the love bombing stage. That's when they praise you, worship you. They get you hurry up in a relationship. It's really fast paced. Then they get you locked in. They'll notice when you start getting locked in because they're basically mirror you. They become everything that you ever dreamed of. You will think it is your soulmate. You will think so. You'll be like, oh my God, I've never met anyone like this person. This has got to be my soulmate. He likes everything that I like. He does everything that I've ever wanted. He always wants to spend time with you. You'll think it. That's what you'll think. Okay. Once you're locked in, and they will know because you'll do literally everything they say, whatever. They'll just know once you're in. They can tell. They've done this so many times. They have a playbook. They already know when you're in. Once you're in, they get bored. Then they do the discard phase. That's when they start tearing you down. They do a lot of gaslighting. They stop spending as much time with you as they used to. So you're wondering, where the heck is he? And it will be so traumatic for you because you're so used to being with this person all the time. And then all of a sudden, now they're not spending time with you anymore. They're not answering your calls when before they were literally texting you all day long. Oh my gosh, guys. I dated a narcissist. and I literally couldn't function. I would be at work and I work 10-hour days. This guy would call me all day. I had to spend my entire lunch on the phone with him. He literally studied my every move. I couldn't even go out with my friends. I couldn't even post things on Facebook without getting his permission. It was crazy. It was crazy. And that was in my days when I didn't know about narcissists. So don't get in the chat judging me saying, girl, what you doing? No, I didn't know at the time. I was naive. It was my beginning stages. I didn't know what a narcissist was. So, but now I look back and I'm like, okay, this is a narcissist. I would have gotten out like within a week. But me not knowing, I was just like, man, this guy's a little overwhelming. Like, well, but at the same time, you being a lady, if you're a lady, you're like, oh my God, he's into me. He's like, wants to spend all this time with me. Like, you be thinking like you're just the bomb, right? But no, it's a narcissist. Okay. So that's the stage that, and then they start, and then when they discard you, that's when they do the gaslighting. We talked about that, right? And then now they're not spending as much time with you, and you will notice it because it would be traumatic for you because you're so used to all this attention and love and all this stuff, and now you're getting all this aggression from him, all this anger, this word scramble, this gaslighting. When you're like, oh my God, like you start to question yourself, you start feeling very insecure, and you start doubting your normal ability to discern. You start doubting that because they do a lot of gaslighting. Then they're not spending time with you because you know why they're not spending time with you anymore? Because they're looking for new supply. All right. So they're out talking to another lady. And because they never, ever, ever, they will never just close the door permanently. They always keep every single ex in their life, period. If you dated a narcissist, they will never leave you alone. They'll go away for maybe a month, year, or, maybe it depends on how long. It depends on the narcissist. Narcissists do different things, but month, year, whatever, weeks. But they don't ever, they'll go away for a while. They'll date the other love supply. So they're getting a new supply right now, right? Because they're not spending time with you. Okay. They're out love bombing that new supply. So they need to spend time to be all consuming now with that new person. So you're not getting time anymore. Okay. They're holding on to you just for a little bit to see until they lock in this new supply. Once they get her locked in or he locked in, then they'll discard you for a little bit. They'll be back for you. I'll show you what happens. But so once they get the person, the new supply locked in, she's like really into him or whatever. She's like, oh, this guy loves me, whatever, right? She's locked in. Okay. Then he goes back, discards you. He'll be like, I don't want you anymore. He'll make up some argument. He'll be very aggressive. Any little thing you do, he'll make an argument. He'll blame you. He'll start being verbally abusive. You're not good enough. You don't cook well. All these times he'll find anything wrong with you. And then he'll just discard you out of nowhere. And it'll be so traumatic, guys. And if you are dealing with mental health, it will destroy you. You will be so depressed. You won't even be able to function throughout the day because you'll be so addicted to that love bombing that you got at the beginning, and you'll be craving it. You'll be like, I miss it. I need it. Like it'll be like a drug. It'll be like a drug, and you won't know what happened to you. And this happened to me, guys. I went through the whole phase. The stuff I'm talking to you about, because I went through it. Okay. And so I remember when I went through it, it was so traumatic. I couldn't even like make decisions on my own because this person literally you won't even know, you won't notice it when you're in the relationship. You think that this person cares about you, they're trying to help you. But when you get out of the relationship, everything becomes clear, meaning you'll be like, you won't even be able to make certain decisions because you'll be like, well, I need to ask such and such, but then such and such is gone, right? He totally is gone, he or she, because now he has this new supply, right? And so you're destroyed trying to get the guy back. This part is the phase when they discard you. This is the part where you need to be careful, okay? Because a lot of people who don't know that they're dealing with narcissists, they make this mistake. The mistake is going and talking to them again. Do not reinitiate communication if they discard you or you discard them. If you're smart enough and you discard them, you're smart. This is the stage where you need to go completely no contact. I know it's hard. I know it's hard because I've been through it. It is difficult, okay? Because this is that you cannot listen to their voicemails. You cannot call them back. You cannot text them. You cannot, if they see you at the gym, we'll get to this point where they start stalking you because they all stalk you. They will all stalk you. We'll get into that, okay? But this stage right now where they're discarding you, they're with the new person. They're going to be with that new person for a while she's new. Like he was with you. Or she. I'm using different genders, guys. Don't think I'm just talking about men. Narcissists can be men or women, okay? So this is for both genders. But while he's with the new supply, we'll just say he because it gets annoying changing the genders. But while he's with the new supply, he's, getting her locked in, he or she locked in, right? Once she gets latched onto him, that's when he gets bored. Remember? He gets bored, so he's going to discard her for a little bit. Always know the little bit part. So he gets bored with her. She's already locked in. She's addicted to him, and she's loving all the love bombing. And she's like, oh my God, he's so sweet. Like all these things, right? So now he's bored with her because she's into him now. And he's like, how could she be into me? He knows he's a complete douchebag, right? He knows it, but he doesn't want you to know. He doesn't want you to know anything. Once you identify him, it's a problem. But anyway, once you would call him out for a narcissist, he probably won't want anything to do with you, but he's still going to keep you. So once she's locked in, then he gets bored. So then he starts the discard phase with her, and he comes back to you. He's back. They always come back. They will never stop. They'll leave for a little bit. You'll think, and you're already messed up. I'm telling you, the narcissist is the worst breakup to get over, guys. It's awful. I want to recommend you guys study narcissism for the next few weeks. Go look on YouTube. That's how I did it. I found a bunch of YouTube videos from doctors. I read books. But YouTube is very easy because you can find a bunch of doctors who are actually doctors who talk about it, and you can study the heck out of it. You need to do it. If you are a person who doesn't know what narcissist is, it is vital that you know the indicators. You must, because it is a matter of life and death. I am telling you. That's what we've been dealing with, these self-conclusions. There's at least 2 of them I can identify that was dating a narcissist, okay? And that led them down that because they were already dealing with mental health issues and they didn't know how to cope with it, okay? So they're back. They're back. They'll come back to you, okay? And if you're not strong, you'll let them back in. And that's the biggest mistake they do. You may let them back in. And they will do these things where they will triangulate you. Meaning they'll have the other girl, they'll have you, and they'll just kind of triangulate you guys back and forth, and he'll use her against you, and he'll be like, yeah, Kelly doesn't do that, or you know what I mean? Like he'll bring up the other person. So they do a lot of triangulates. That's a term you'll hear about in narcissism. And so they'll do a little bit of love bombing once they come back. If you let them back in, there's 2 things that'll happen. If you let them back in, here's the first scenario. You let them back in because you don't know what a narcissist is. You've missed him. You've missed all the love bombing. You missed all the worshiping, so you let them back in. Okay, so they'll do a quicker phase of the love bombing now. Before it was a drawn out phase because they were actually locking you in. Now they only need to do a couple weeks of just flowers and love bombing and giving you all this praise and attention because they already know they technically have you. All they have to do is just warm you up again, kind of like warming up leftovers, basically. That's what they're doing. They think you're a leftover anyway, but they come back, warm you up for a little bit, get a little bit of supply, and then they're back bored with you again, and so they leave. And they go back to the other person now. Now they're just triangulating you, going back to the different people. Or they might bounce to other past people they date. So they have this imaginary shelf, okay? And they put every prior person that they dated on this imaginary shelf. And they just pull the people off the shelf and they go back and hover. That's what there's a term called hoovering. You have to know that term. There's different terminology in narcissist studies, and the term hoover means that's when they come back to you and they just poke at you and give you these the comments like, hey, they'll send you a text message and be like, hey, how you doing? Or I missed you. I'm thinking about you. That's called hoovering. That's after the discard phase when they've left for a couple months or years and they're gaslighting they're love bombing the new supply. Then, and they get bored with them and they start discarding them, then they come back to you and they hoover you. They hoover you, they'll give you little text messages and all these things that try to draw you back in. If you let them back in, it just begins the cycle all over again. You'll get love bombed for a little bit, you'll get discarded, then he leaves off and pulls off another person, an old supply from the shelf, or he'll get a new supply. Those are 2 scenarios. You either pull off somebody that he's dated before. He recycles everybody. The key is he'll never stop. He will never stop. It could be 15 years. He'll still be back. They never go away, period. Okay? Now, that's the first scenario. You made the mistake because you didn't know you were dating a narcissist. You let him back in. That's a big no-no. If they discard you or you discard them, if you're smart, don't ever contact. Period. It's very hard. It sounds easy to say, but it's very hard to do. Don't answer their calls, don't respond. They will stalk the heck out of you. They know your schedule because you dated them. So they'll go to the gym that you've gone to. They'll come by your house. They'll look at your car. They might even vandalize your car or vandalize your property or break into your house. But they do stalking. They all stalk. I'll give you my example. So I told you I dated a guy who was medically diagnosed as a narcissist. Okay. When I was smart enough, I started realizing, dude, I need to get out of this. I discarded him. He became aggressive. If you discard somebody, a narcissist, if you discard a narcissist, it's called a narcissistic injury. And if you're dating an overt, that's the obvious one, the overt narcissist, they will become aggressive. This guy came into my house. He broke into my house in a fit of rage. I was literally terrified, praying in the Holy Spirit. And he was looking around my house to see if there was any men in the house. And I was just like terrified. This guy was so aggressive. Even if there was time, I gave him a narcissistic injury because he was asking me a question about a friend that I was hanging out with. Sorry, a friend that I was hanging out with. We were all at dinner. It was a co-worker environment. All the co-workers were hanging out. We had a dinner, and he was angry about that. He was jealous because he thought I was dating my co-worker, which I wasn't. It was just a dinner. All of the whole co-workers had a dinner, and I didn't look at him. Okay, I didn't look at him when he was speaking to me. He was like, "You need to look at me when I'm speaking to you," and I was just like, "Well, I do this thing where if you're being aggressive to me, I can't look at you. I'm not even gonna, deal with you until you talk to me respectfully." And so he got mad because I wasn't looking at him, and he came. It was a narcissistic injury. He felt rejected. So he came over and he picked me up and threw me on the bed like, "Rrr." That is an overt narcissist, because if they get a narcissistic injury, they become enraged. Okay, so that was the first narcissistic injury I gave him. The second narcissistic injury was when I discarded him, and I was like, "Look, it's done." We're done. That's when he came in my house, broke in my house. He started coming in my house every day. He would write notes on my car. He vandalized my car. He memorized my schedule and joined the same gym that I was going to. And mind you, this person already lived an hour away from me. So he would drive a whole hour to the gym that I was at, when he can clearly go to a gym where he's locally, he has a gym. But he drove an entire hour to come to the gym at the same exact time. He knew I going to the gym. He knew the classes I took. And he would sit there and watch me in my classes and be like, "Hi, how you doing?" and all that stuff, and would literally stalk me. He literally stalked me, follow me to my job. He knew everything that happened to me, even to the point where he would message me if he saw something. Like, for example, somebody rear-ended me, right? Rear-ended my car one day. So I had a dent in my car. Within a matter of seconds, he messaged me. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, at first I was like, wait, he can't be stalked. He can't be here. So I was like pretending. I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Why are you messaging me?" He's like, "Because I see your car is dented. It looks like you're in an accident." I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is stalking me. Yes, they will stalk you. And mind you, this person was in a relationship with the new supply at the time. But he had gotten bored with her because she was all in love with him already. So he got bored. So he was discarding her. He was coming back to me to now stalk the heck out of me. And he will stalk you. He will never stop, okay? And I thought I got rid of him when I found out he had the new supply, because this is what happened. After I discarded him, he went crazy, did the crazy rage and all that. And this is just an example, guys, so you can see the example of what I mean. He went crazy and went into this fit of rage. And then he eventually left for a little bit because he was with the new supply. So he was distracted with her. And that was like 5 days later after we broke up. That's another thing you'll notice about a narcissist. You will break up with them, right? Or they will discard you. And then you'll notice on their social media, within a matter of days, they have a new relationship. You'll be like, dang, we just broke up yesterday. You're in a relationship. And it's like, yeah, that's how fast it is. That's another way you can notice a narcissist. They are very Speedy Gonzalez. They will be in a relationship with a matter of days. I mean, it could be from he break up with you today and tomorrow he's in a relationship. Okay. And another thing they'll do is they have a script. They will use the same exact words to describe you to describe the new person. Okay. They do the same exact treatment, same thing, right? The only thing is they'll start mirroring the person. So if the person wants certain other things, they'll try to do those things to basically become the soulmate image, right? But You'll notice if, like, for example, they have social media and they described you as, this is my most beautiful queen in the world, right? Pretend that's the term they use about you. You'll notice the new person, he'll say the exact same thing about her. This is my most beautiful queen in the world. You'll be like, wait, did he used to call me most beautiful queen? Why is he calling her? That's what they'll do. You'll notice they'll use the same exact terminology to describe the new person. That's one thing they do too. They do a lot of just the same play by play, because they're not creative enough. They just have a script and they keep doing this cycle of love bomb, discard, Hoover. It's called love bomb, discard, Hoover. That's the cycle. Love bomb, discard, Hoover. They just keep doing that, right? So you need to know the cycle, guys. You got to be able to identify it. Love bomb, discard, Hoover. Okay, the Hoovers, when they come back, they'll do text messages, maybe send you letters, whatever, to try to get you locked back in. Okay. Now, here is another scenario. Let's say you're smart. Okay, you're onto it. You know what a narcissist is. Okay, so you stand strong and you don't take them back. What will he do? He will send flying monkeys. That's another term you'll note in narcissism, is flying monkeys. What is a flying monkey? A flying monkey is maybe friends that you guys have in common, maybe your parents, people that he has knows that has some type of relationship with you, that you guys share some common relationship with. And he will go to those people, and he will because he's friends with them already, and he will use those people to basically terrorize you, basically, and make you look like you're the bad person. He will send those flying monkeys over to harass you. And how does he do that? He'll go to, say, for example, he's close to your best friend. You guys all have common friends, and Kelly is both your friend and his friend, right? When you guys break up and you're like standing strong, you're like, I'm not into him, nothing like that, right? He will go to Kelly. He'll be like, man, Tiffany, man, she really hurt me. She did all, I really loved her. I did all these things for her, and she just broke my heart. And she's just, such an abusive person. She always abuses me. And he will make it look like you are just crazy and you're like the worst person in the world. Okay, to Kelly, Kelly or Tiffany, to Kelly, right? Kelly. And so Kelly will come back and he will use Kelly to harass you, to stalk you, she'll probably even be a spy for him. She'll be like kind of like his worker, like an imaginary worker, and to go and spy on you, terrorize you, call you names, all these things. You'll notice these people that either know him or know you, and they will also be used as people who will terrorize you, bully you, all these things. So you're not only getting it from him, you're going to be getting it from other people that you guys know in common. So it could be literally torture. It could torture you. And if now you can understand now someone who's battling mental health, like a Nina Polchecki, who gets involved with a narcissist, and she doesn't know that because she doesn't have a lot of a relationship experience. She had that first relationship with Jordan, and it was traumatic for her. So she kind of went through years of not really dating. And then she gets with this narcissist. And so she mistakes this love bombing as real love, when narcissists are not capable of love. That's why it's an imperative that you know what a narcissist is, because they will tell you they love you, but it's impossible. They have no feelings. They really don't love you. They have no love inside of them. And each of us have some form of narcissist in us. That's what I learned through my studies. But there's some people that have an imbalanced level of it, and it stems from a traumatic event in their life, and a lot of it is from their childhood. They may have experienced a lot of severe neglect from their parents. They may not have had a lot of love or attention from their parents, or been really extremely abused. And so as a child, they experienced a lot of narcissistic injury and abuse from their parents. And so they never stopped, they pretty much never developed after that traumatic injury. So they're still mentally that child in their mind. And so the way that they cope and protect themselves is through narcissism. That's the way they protect themselves. They become all consuming within themselves. And so they are trying to they use all these relationships as ways to gain that attention that they didn't have as a child. That's why they go through these different relationships to get what is called the narcissistic supply. You are the supply to them. That is that missing void and attention that they've clinged and wanted all during their childhood. All right. And if they never got any therapy for it or any type of medical treatment for it, then it formulates into an imbalanced level of narcissism, and it becomes a disorder within them. And that's what they do. They are searching for these relationships to get that missing component, the attention that they wanted as a child. They're looking for it in all these different relationships. But then once they get it, they start thinking that person who's giving them that attention and love is crazy, because then they're so insecure inside. They're like, how could this person be so dumb or crazy to like me? That's what they're thinking about you. When you start liking them and loving them and having feelings for them, they feel so unworthy of that love. They start thinking, how could this person love someone like me? They're crazy, because they don't really love themselves inside. And they have this really fragile, very fragile, vulnerable ego. And if you injure it in any way, they become aggressive and violent. That is the overt narcissist. That's the one that's aggressive and violent. The covert one is the one you need to watch out for, because the overt one is pretty obvious. If you don't know about narcissists and you kind of study them like I was talking about, you know the different indicators we just talked about. Make sure you go back to the video if you missed the beginning of it. If you're dealing with a covert one, they're very difficult to identify, because they're not going to be openly aggressive if they get a narcissistic injury. They're not abusive, all that stuff. They do, what they do is called passive aggressive behavior. So they're not going to get, if you do a narcissistic injury on them, like you reject them, or if you question them about something, they're not going to aggressively be abusive to you and all that stuff. They're going to be passive aggressive about it. It's very subtle. Okay? It's very subtle. So maybe they won't call you as much as they used to, because that's their way of punishing you, because you rejected them. Or maybe they won't give you attention anymore for a while. Or maybe they will do the silent treatment. Covert narcissists are very good at silent treatments. And silent treatments can be mentally torture. It can be mental torture to you, because this is a person that you love. Okay, you spend so much time with. You're used to them responding to your text messages when you message them. You're used to them spending time with you day and night. And so if you question them about something that they did, for example, maybe they lied about something and you caught them in the lie and you questioned them. Well, instead of them getting angry like an overt's going to blow up on you. They're going to just be aggressive, maybe even be violent, you know. The covert one is not going to do that. The covert one is going to make you feel bad for it, to say, you know, I'm really hurt because, you know, you always doubt me. You always accuse me of these things. And then they will just go silent. You won't be able to reach them for weeks, maybe months. You won't be able to call them or anything. They just completely just ghost you. And that can be mental torture to you when the person that you love and you're in a relationship with is not calling you, they're not responding to you, they're just completely gone. And then they just pop up again out of nowhere, act like nothing ever happened. That is an example of a covert one. They're not going to be open about it. They're going to be very passive. They do a lot of silent treatment or a lot of indirect responses, guys. Indirect responses to, please forgive me, guys, it's late. Indirect responses to your narcissistic injury. But that's the kind of way they behave, but they're going to eventually discard you like the overt one. So they still will do the same cycles, but they're not going to be aggressive and open about it. So that is a quick run through, guys, of what a narcissist is. But make sure you study them, guys. That's a big thing I want to encourage my subscribers to do, is study narcissism, and especially if you're dealing with mental health struggles and you have severe depression and you're trying to get out of that. The last thing you need is a narcissist. And the one thing that narcissists are drawn to is a person who is an empath or is codependent. If you're dealing with some type of codependency, you need to work on that, because that's what they're looking for. They want someone who's codependent because they know that they can basically You're very manipulative. They can manipulate you. Sorry, they can manipulate you and get you attached to them, and that's what they want. And once they get you attached, they get bored, they discard you. So, guys, that is what a narcissist is. You need to know the signs. A lot of narcissists become murderers. We've talked a lot about, murders and stuff on this channel, and there's some indicators in those people that are narcissists. They are not capable of feeling. That's one thing you'll notice about narcissists. They don't have any emotions or empathy. So let's say, here's a way you can identify narcissists too. There are also sociopaths or psychopaths that do this as well. But let's say you're watching a crime show, okay? And you're watching it with the person that you're dating, and this person is brutally murdered, okay? And you're like so sad about it because you have real feelings, and you're like talking to the person you're dating them. You're like, oh my God, what happened to this person? Oh, it's just terrible. And he's just like, oh well, that's what they get. Must have been a reason. That's how they are. You're just like, what the heck? Like the person, no empathy. They have no feelings. Period. And sometimes they'll try to mirror other people's feelings because they don't know how to feel. So that's one thing you'll notice about a narcissist is their inability to feel. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying, and then we're going to watch a video about narcissism. Hi, Jetty. What's up, Jetty? Jetty, you know about narcissists? Have you dated a narcissist or had a friend that has a narcissist? You guys let me know in the chat, guys, because we are about to watch a video on it real quick. Okay.
Personality disorder. A narcissistic personality disorder is a personality disorder with a long-term pattern of abnormal behavior, marked by an inflated feeling of self-importance, a deep need for attention and admiration.
Okay, so that was one thing we need to talk about. That's why I want to do this video, because I'm going to explain each of these different components that he's talking about. One thing you'll notice about a narcissist is their self-importance. When you're having a discussion with them, they will talk hours upon hours about themselves sometime. If they're not in a stage where they're trying to study you, they'll be in a stage where they'll talk hours and hours and hours about themselves, and you won't even be able to get a word in. You will feel like you don't matter, or they don't care about you. Like, for example, let's say your narcissist comes home, you guys are in a relationship, and he asks you about your day, for example. Or no, you ask him about his day. Oh, how was your day, sweetie? He will go hours and hours and hours and hours and hours about his day, and he won't even bother to ask you about your day. So it'll be a one-sided discussion a lot of times. So that's one of the examples of them always having this self-importance, and they always want this attention and admiration. They want you to worship them and give them a lot of praise all the time. They're going to ask you for a lot of words of compliments and stuff, and they just have no empathy. Like I said, this is what you're going to talk about, no empathy.
And a lack of empathy for others. A narcissistic personality disorder can cause problems in many areas of life, including work, school, and relationships.
So that's one thing you'll notice about narcissists that you're dating. A lot of times they can't keep a job, okay? Or they're having issues with, different situations in their life, like maybe their job or other relationships with other people. You'll notice they'll have problems. Like the guy that I was dating, he could not keep a job. He would get into these enraged arguments with his boss. He would disrespect his boss, his coworkers, and so they would lay him off. That's one of the indicators. You'll notice they just can't manage jobs or other relationships with other people, even their family members. You'll be able to see the signs of how they interact with other people. But one of the indicators is they just can't even keep a job because of how their inability to control their emotions. And that's more so for your overt narcissist. That's the obvious narcissist.
Those affected have an unusual love of self, have high esteem, and may believe they are special or superior compared to other people.
That's what you'll notice too. So when you're talking to a narcissist, they will overly praise themselves, overly talk about all these great accolades that they have and just how they're the most important person and all these people just love them. You'll start to feel this cringy kind of feeling when you're talking to them, like, dude, this guy's way too much into himself. Once you start seeing red flags like that, or this woman's way too much into herself, you need to start taking notes. I would say if you're dating someone, you should have a notebook and try to take notes of the good things you notice about them and the bad things you notice about them, because especially there's a lot of narcissists floating out there who are looking for victims to victimize.
Narcissistics have a fragile self-esteem that is vulnerable to the slightest criticism. They may get disappointed and unhappy when they are not given the special favor or praise they deserve.
And that's something you heard us just talk about earlier. And I haven't even watched this video yet, so you could tell, guys, I've studied narcissists so much that I know the ins and outs. But any little time you give them any type of criticism, because you as a smart, articulate person will start calling them out on stuff. And that they will not like that. They will feel that it's a narcissistic injury, and they will respond to you aggressively, because they really don't have true confidence. Even though they're telling you all these wonderful things that they think about themselves, in reality, guys, they're really this fragile little boy, little girl internally that is still injured from their childhood trauma, and they have this really wounded self-esteem about themselves. So any little criticism can break them, and that's why they become aggressive as a way to protect their already fragile ego.
Some traits of a narcissistic personality disorder may be almost similar to confidence, but the two are not the same thing. People who are confident have a healthy self-esteem and are usually humble, while people with NPD almost never are. The disorder appears to occur more often in males than females and affects young people more than the older people. Causes. The exact cause of the disorder is not known. It is believed that the disorder is
They were saying it affects more younger people than older people. That I can respectfully disagree with, guys. I know people who are older that have narcissism as well, in my opinion, because I told you I studied it so much that I can identify the indicators. So I would say I wouldn't just think that it happens to a certain age group. You need to just know the indicators. You need to know the signs. You need to study the ins and outs of the signs so that you can identify them if you come across one.
Is linked to genetics, neurobiology, the connection between the brain and behavior and thinking, and environmental factors, such as childhood abuse or neglect. Excessive parental pampering.
So what he was saying was, he's giving you the indicators. He said some of it can be genetic, some of it can be trauma, child abuse. And there's another way that people develop into narcissists is if their parents overly praise them. They're overly spoiled. They're overly pampered all the time by their parents. Then when they become older, they become a narcissist because their parents overly pampered them. It's this excessive parental pampering.
Or unrealistic expectations from parents. These factors are likely to play a role in formulating a narcissistic personality. Symptoms. Below are the most common traits found in people with NPD. An exaggerated sense of self-importance, exaggerating achievements and talents, taking advantage of others to get what they want, extreme sense of entitlement and constant excessive admiration, difficulty maintaining healthy relationships.
Difficulty maintaining self-relationships. So when you're at the beginning of dating this person, one of the key things you want to ask is about their past relationships, how long their relationships were, why did those relationships end? That's a key thing you'll be able to identify narcissists, because narcissists will always blame their ex-partner about why the relationship didn't work. They will never take responsibility. That's one way you can identify narcissists, because they'll always act as though they are the victim. They will tell you how awful their exes were, how abusive, how crazy they were, and how controlling. They will make it out like as if they were abused and they were the victim. And you will notice that they never, ever, ever acknowledge any form of fault in that past relationship. That is one way you can identify a narcissist. They never take any form of accountability. Even when you start dating them, they won't take accountability. They will always blame you for everything that goes wrong in the relationship. That's one way you can identify them, because they constantly blame other people, and they like to be this pillar of perfection.
To be recognized as superior, even without achievements that warrant it. Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, or beauty. Expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. Be envious of others and believe others envy them. Behave in an arrogant manner. An insatiable appetite for the attention of others.
So let's go over this. Expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. You will notice that, like from different, even when they go to restaurants or places you go, they will always expect exceptions to the rule for them. Like, for example, if they say, oh, this is the VIP seating, you can't sit here unless, you have a reservation. They will try to break those rules as if they're special. That's an example. Be envious of others and believe others envy of them. A lot of times they will tell you how they think maybe their coworkers are jealous of them or friends are jealous of them. They always talk about they think somebody's jealous of them. You'll notice that a lot. They're always complaining about such and such is envious of them, or they will talk bad about someone that they're jealous of. And they also behave in an arrogant manner. The person that you're talking about is very overly arrogant. They don't have any sense of humility, period. You're never going to hear them have any humility. It's always going to be overly arrogant. And they have an appetite for attention, meaning they're always going to be looking for you to overly compliment them all the time. They always need this sense of validation. It's almost kind of annoying how they always want you to praise them and give them attention all the time. And if you don't have time, let's say you're too busy, you're out with your friends. That is a narcissistic injury to them, and you're not giving them the attention they need. So then if they're an overt narcissist, they can become very violent, very angry toward you. They may even discard you because you're not giving them the supply that they need. And lack of empathy or ability to understand and share the feelings of others, that's what we talked about before. They don't have any feelings, guys. It's really almost disturbing how cold they can be. I remember I dated a guy, and I'm trying to remember the story that I told him where he just had no empathy. It was a very sad story. I think it was about a woman that was brutally murdered. I think she had gotten a car accident or something. She got a car accident, died or whatever, and I was talking to him about it, and he didn't care. He was like, oh, whatever, she shouldn't have drove. And something in my gut feeling was like, something's not right about this person. Like, for him not to have any empathy for this woman who's passed away in a traumatic way and he doesn't care, I knew something was wrong. So that's one thing you'll notice. You'll just notice these things about them that stand out. And they become angry when they don't receive special treatment. So anytime you reject them, or if you don't have time to spend time with them because you're out with your friends, or any little thing they feel rejected, maybe you don't even answer their text message immediately because you're busy in a meeting. Well, that's not special treatment, or you're not giving them the attention they need. So you'll notice they'll become angry with you and question you and be aggressive. So you need to know these indicators here that we talked about. That's why I stopped it and went over it again, because I want you guys, if you're my subscriber, I need you guys to know these so you can protect yourself.
Lack of empathy, or the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and a tendency to disregard others' feelings. Become angry when they don't receive special treatment. Have a secret feeling of insecurity, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. React negatively to criticism. Diagnosis and treatment. Diagnosis is usually based on symptoms, a physical examination to rule out other conditions,
and here's the problem, guys. I got lucky because the guy that I dated that was a narcissist, he actually went and got diagnosed. But 9 times out of 10, a person who is narcissist will never acknowledge that they're a narcissist, even if you call them out and say that they are. They will never do it, which means most of the time they never will get an evaluation, period. So that's why it's imperative that you know the indicators, because most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they will never acknowledge that they need help. Ever. They will always feel like you need help. You're the problem, or someone else is the problem, but never them being the problem. So they're not going to get any diagnosis. I just happened to be lucky for the one time in my life that I actually met somebody who was diagnosed. But most of the time, they're not going to be diagnosed. You have to know the signs yourself.
Thorough psychological evaluation that may require the use of questionnaires. The diagnosis must follow the criteria written in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM. published by the American Psychological Association. Treatment. Psychotherapy is the major treatment option, but this can also be combined with medications if you have other mental conditions. Psychotherapy may help to understand the cause of your emotions and help you learn to relate better with people. It can show you how to recognize and accept your actual potential so you can tolerate criticism or failures, cope with any self-esteem issue, understand and manage your feelings, improve collaborations with coworkers and peers. Medications are not available to treat the disorder. If you have anxiety, depression, or other conditions, medications such as antidepressants or anti-anxiety drugs may be helpful.
All right, so that's just a quick.
Thank you for watching.
That's just a quick overview of a narcissist. So the terms that you need to be familiar with as you start studying narcissism is first the cycle of love bombing, okay, the discard phase, and then the hoover phase when they return back to you, because they always return back to you. They will never stop, period. The way that you overcome them is you need to go no contact. Of course, they also have a term called, I think it's called, what's that term about? Forget it. We'll do another video on it because it's late. But for sure, you need to go no contact. That means don't respond to their text messages. Don't message them. A lot of times they'll try to come back during the holidays or during your birthday. They will message you out of the blue. You could have not talked to this person in a whole year, and on your birthday, they managed to say, oh, happy birthday. That's hoovering. That's called hoovering, because they want to get a response out of you. Then they come and do a quick love bomb on you. Within a matter of weeks, you're stuck on them again. You're addicted. And then they just discard you again. And then you're back to this traumatic fall. And it's traumatic depression. And it could be so bad, you guys. Like I said, it could really become debilitating, because you really become addicted to this person, where you will need therapy and all these different treatments to try to get out of it. And once you finally do get out of it, if you break that no contact, it will start all over again. And you're going to have to go back to rehealing yourself again. And it could be very traumatic. Okay. So I watch a lot. There's these key YouTubers that I watch that are really kind of experts in narcissism. And what I will do is I will attach links into the description box once I get to those pages. Eventually, I'll attach links to their pages. So if you want to study more about narcissism, you can go onto their YouTube channels, and they literally have a whole channel, different channels devoted to the study of narcissism. But I want to encourage all of you guys to study narcissists, because if you don't, oh, hi, Gregory Adam. Hi, nice to meet you. But yeah, if you don't know what a narcissist is, you guys, it could be very dangerous to your mental health. And we talk a lot about mental health on this channel, and it wouldn't be right to talk about mental health without talking about narcissists, because they can really dismantle you. And I'm doing this video because it was a request, a special request by one of the subscribers, Karen. So I hope Karen watches this and somehow gets something out of it, guys. I'm not a therapist, so again, I'm just speaking from my studies and experience with narcissists. But if you want to talk to an actual doctor or research an actual doctor who is skilled at this, I will attach some of their pages, and you can study that. All right, I love you guys. There is a doctor on here called Dr. Todd Grande, and he talks about associated characteristics of narcissistic personality disorders. So if you want to actually listen to a doctor, but I'm just telling you from what I've studied over the years and my own personal experiences of dealing with a medically diagnosed narcissist. Love you guys so much. You mean the absolute world to me. That's why I do these videos, because I care so much about you, and I just want to protect you from the world. All right. Love you guys. God bless.